Hello people! Today we're going to do a set that I'm calling Smooshed Autumn Leaves. The smooshing comes in the making of the leaves, which you'll see as we go. I'm also trying out a new shape, which is a tapered square, as opposed to the square that I have been using, and I'm liking the look of these a lot better. Now, don't everybody get shocked, but I am using a nude polish again. This is Model 1. I'm kind of really digging this one because it's not real yellowy or orangey or pinky. It just is a nice base nude, and I just like it. Surprisingly, I never thought I'd be saying that, but there we go. Okay, we're going on with the first coat. Before I forget, this set took me 2 hours and 3/4, so almost 3 hours to make. And now we've cured those and we're on to the second coat. On a side note, while we're waiting for this coat to get done, we finally got our car back again. Yay! So far, so good. It better be perfect now. There better not be anything going wrong with it. But so that's one bit of good news. Okay, we're going to cure those. Moving on. We're going to do the smush stuff now. So what I've got here is a Ziploc bag, and I have cut it down one side and across the bottom so I can open it up like a book. Ta-da! Okay, and we're going to do that. And then we are going to work on one side of it to start. Now, I'm making this with these particular polish brands for a reason, because they seem to be more flexible and not so brittle once they're cured. But we're going to take these and we're just going to randomly dot on globs of the polish in a sizable area here. I'll be using 4 different colors, which you'll see as we go. We're going to do that same thing with all of them. But as I was saying, I've tried this with Beetle's polish, and their polish dries or cures in a much more brittle kind of a fashion, I guess. So when you go to cut the shapes out of it, it wants to crack and break on you rather than staying nice and smooth and pliable. So you have to, if you're going to use this method, you've got to test out your polishes first to see how it goes, because not all of them are probably going to work for this. I mean, I could have done the stripy bits with a Beetle's polish, but the little leaves, no. I went through that with making butterflies 2 summers ago. It did not go well. I did eventually figure out how to work with it, though. I figured out if I put a piece of paper underneath the big polish smoosh and then cut out my stuff through that the paper gave it enough support to keep them from cracking most of the time. And that was with the Beetle's polish. But I know from past things that this one is much more flexible when it's cured. It's kind of softer, I guess. And now see how we have some holes there? We don't want that, so I'm going to open this back up. We're going to dot some more in there. Without the other piece coming down on here, getting polish all over me. Alright, we want this to be solid, so on we go. So I'm going to put that back down and we're going to smoosh it around again. I just like to give it a little rub. It kind of smooshes it together and it evens it out. You don't want any real thick parts because then it doesn't cure in the middle. Okay, and then we're going to put this in the lamp and we're going to cure it for 90 seconds. And then when it comes out of the lamp, we're going to flip it like a pancake and put it back in on the other side for another 90 seconds. So it will have a minute and a, no, it won't either. It will have 3 minutes total curing time, 90 seconds each side. I guess I could have just started with that. Okay, so it's been cured now. We're going to take it out, open it back up, and now you should gently be able to peel it off. And wow, there we go. There's a couple of bubbly spots, but for the most part, we look good. Okay, now in a second, this is going to switch to being cut in half. I tried starting to cut this with an X-Acto knife against a ruler on a cardboard. It did not go well, so I thought that would give me a nicer, straighter edge, which it did on one side, but then I was having problems holding it, so we're just going to cut the rest of it with the scissors. Now, in hindsight, I'm wishing I had made these stripes a little bit skinnier, but I didn't, so that's what we went with. Okay, I'm going to cut one more of those. We're going to have 2 of those, and then the rest of this smoosh of polish is going to be used for the leaves. This is a method that I learned a few years ago from Kirsty Meakin. She was doing something where she did this and made stripes like this, so I thought, you know what, that's pretty cool. I'm going to try it. And lo and behold, it worked. Okay, this is just a hole punch, shaped hole punch that I got off AliExpress, pretty cheap. Now before I did this, I used a butterfly one. And that's the one I had all the problems with because I had used Beetle's polish for the smoosh. And it was, like I said, it was really crunchy, but okay, and there we have it. There's one leaf. Now I'm just going to carry on and punch out a bunch of these. I was having issues with this little plastic piece that's on the bottom of this puncher. Eventually I pulled it off of there, but because it was kind of just getting in the way. I'm doing this upside down so I can see exactly where, when I have this lined up in the right spot, to punch it through. There we go, number 2. Okay, now I've gone and punched the rest of those out, and just keep going till you think you have enough. And that's what we ended up with. There are our fall autumn leaves. Fall autumn, yeah, either fall or autumn, not both. Okay, so that's what we've got. Now moving on, we're going to use this copper leaf or foil. I'm not sure exactly what it is, and I'm going to break it up into smaller bits with my tweezers and my cuticle pusher tool. Unfortunately, I'm out of shot, so you're not going to see it, but I'm just basically cutting it up into littler pieces. There's probably an easier method to doing this, but this is the way I did it this time. And eventually I'm going to get most of that done, and we're going to be ready to go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is get some nails in here. There we go. We're going to base coat these now, and then we're going to put that copper leaf stuff or foil just only on the left side of the nail, like half and half, but on the left. So you may be wondering why I'm putting base coat over the entire nail when we're only going to do half of this. And that's because I want my layers to be even. If I only do it on half and then later on I'm adding more coats and more coats, that half that has the extra layer is going to build up more. I know it's like a minute amount, but when the more layers you put on, the bigger the difference becomes. And then you'll have one side sticking up farther than the other, and then it's a whole thing. So we don't want that. So we're going to just put these on there until I'm happy with them. Now on these first couple, I didn't put that much on. I kind of was wanting to have a, not a solid look, but a little more solidy than I ended up with, but kind of went out by the wayside as I went along. Now I'm using my brush, or trying to break those up into little smaller bits. Normally this works pretty well. Excuse me. But today it wasn't. Eventually you're going to see me get out a silicone tool and use that to help bust these little chunks up more. But that's the gist of it. Okay, I'm trying to break up another piece of it there. Okay, moving on. See, sometimes the brush will work. Normally I do use whatever brush I'm using to break it up, but this one I guess was just not stiff enough, and it just was not cooperating very well. I ended up having to kind of smush it down more than I was wanting to, so this brush is probably not good anymore, but I was starting to get frustrated with it at this point, so I think pretty soon here I will break out the silicone tool for this, because I'm just frankly ruining my brush right here. Here's a good example, you guys, of what not to do. Alright, I think we're going to be moving on to the next one. I'm trying to just keep it all on that one side too, and not let it get too far into the middle. That one just wanted to keep rolling up. It did not want to smooth out for me. I tried to take the little bits that I've been breaking off and putting them back on there in another area to help fill them up. Okay, I haven't got my tool out yet. I could have sworn I had done it a lot sooner than this, but we'll see. Eventually I will get it out. See, now it's just not breaking up at all, and now I'm really screwing my brush up. Alright, I guess that's about when I had had enough at that point. Okay, now we're just going to use this to smush this around and break these up better. This is working better now. Although the little bits wanted to keep sticking on there. Okay, we got one more to go on this side. I guess I had decided that needed a little bit more. And now I don't know what we're doing here. I must be looking for some more little bits, some little tinier bits to fill that in better. Okay, and we're still messing with this. Okay, I'm just busting up those ones that are already on there. Now they have partially cured already because they're sitting here under my LED desk lamp. So that one just did not want to break apart. I think that's why I was having trouble at that point, because it was already partially cured. Okay, I think we just have the pinky nail left. And there it is, but you can't see it very well because once again I'm out of shot. Well, I guess you could sort of kind of see it. See, this works pretty good at breaking it up when you can get it right away. Seems like if it sits on there too long, it doesn't want to do it anymore. Okay, come on, what are we doing? Switching back to the brush just to flatten all these guys out. Some of them are sticking up. Frankly, at this point, it would have been faster just to take my finger and smush them down. Okay, now, here's where we are so far. We're ready to cure these. And I will do the other ones off camera. And there they go. Okay, now we're back. Moving on to the next step. I will be using this glitter gel. And we're going to paint just a line, just this one stripe down the center as a divider line. Okay, that one's good. Moving on. Now, this is a case of I was on autopilot again as I'm just painting these stripes down the center of these, and I was just on the pinky nail when I all of a sudden realized, wait a minute, I'm not having a stripe on the index finger or the ring fingernails, so then I had to wipe them back off before they got cured. Frankly, I could have just left them there because the stripe would have covered over them when we put that on, but I don't know why my brain, and that was such a nice, perfect one too. That's one of the ones I had to wipe off. But anyway, we will carry on. That's another reason I usually like to make myself a little map of, map out my design of what I'm going to do, so I don't make these kind of dumb mistakes. FYI, that striper brush I'm using is a Savalind one. I got a set of these. I think there's 6 of them. They're all different. They're all stripers, but they're all different lengths. And they're pretty nice. I've really been enjoying them. Better than the last ones I had that I had bought off of Wish years ago. I mean, they were fine for what I was doing at the time. But a while back, as I was cleaning one of them, all the bristles just pulled right out of the whole brush handle thing, and I'm like, what the heck happened? So I was forced to get a new one, and this was like the second little set of them I had, because the first ones I got I wasn't happy with, so I tried these I liked. Okay, we've cured those. Now we're going to move on with base coat again, and we're going to put the stripes on here. The smooshy stripes, not the painted ones. Look, you can see there's glitter residue now from where I had to wipe that off. It didn't come off. So, Okay, now we're going to have our stripes. As soon as I can grab one up there. We have the base coat on. Okay. And we're just going to lay this where we want it. Don't worry, it's not going to like be stuck on there for good. And even once it's cured slightly, you can still pull it back off, which I ended up having to do on some of these because they didn't want to cooperate. But we are going to, now you would think you could just throw it in the lamp and let it cure on there and everything would be super fine. But I was afraid that it was going to move around on me. So I went with option B, which is using my LED little flashlight. Because I want to make sure these were flat down to the nail. Now you won't see it. When I did the second rack of nails, I had all kinds of trouble getting these stripes to stay on there properly. They kept moving around and sliding off, and I just had all kinds of problems. So after numerous tries of getting it to work like this one just did so nicely, what I ended up doing was just gluing them on with nail glue, because I'd had enough of that too. So you can't see, but I'm just cutting off those little bits that were at the end so that it's going to be even with the nail. There we go. Okay, and there's one done. Now the rest I'll do off camera, and then we're going in again, and once again I'm going to coat this entire nail with base coat, then we're going to put our leaves on now. Okay, and then again I will use my flashlight because I want all those edges to be flat down to the nail nicely and not sticking up. Yeah, that one, it took a big slide. If I'm not mistaken, I think one of those was not on there properly anymore. Nope. See, the reddish one is off the edge way too far. So when that happens, I will just get my tweezers and peel that back off carefully. And then we're going to slap some more base on just right there and go for that one again. That's the only issue I have with the flashlight thing. If you're working over a base coat like this and you got to press it on there to flatten it, there's a learning curve to just how much you can press. You know, with that, if you press too hard, it wants to slide around and slide off like it did. If you don't press hard enough, it doesn't get flattened all the way. So there was a little bit of a learning curve for me on that, but most of the time I've got it dialed in. But there we go. Now I will do the rest of them. Maybe not. I was going to say off camera, but I guess I'm going to show you one more. You know, these two got facing the same way. I was trying to have them be going different ways so they don't look like they're just all plopped on there in uniformity. I wanted them to be a little different. But that one, obviously I failed on that one. Okay, now they slid around a little bit, but I was okay with where they ended up, so we're going to leave those alone. Okay, and I've done the rest of them off camera, and that's where we are so far. Okay, now what I'm going to do is we're going to get the glitter polish back again that we painted the stripe with. And what I'm going to do is just outline all of these little leaves now. Now I'm just going to show you guys this first one because it's tedious and no point in sitting through every one of them. But I'm just going to put a nice thin outline around all these leaves. One thing I kind of liked about this, hole puncher, I guess the punch out of the leaf, is that it's not a perfectly symmetrical leaf. It's different on each side. So I thought that gave it a little more realism. And then I am going to just make 3 vein lines down the center, like one in the middle and one going off into either side of the little shorter parts, like so. And then we will move on to the next one. Now, as you can see off the side edge of the nail, there's like polish like going off the side edge. That's part of the base coat where it slid off with the flashlight, and the part that was hanging over the edge cured that way. Don't worry about that. We'll get that off in the next step after these. Now originally I hadn't planned on outlining these leaves, but as I was sitting there looking at them, they looked too plain and they needed something, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to outline them all in the same gold that I use, or it's supposedly it's gold, but to me it looks more coppery, this glitter polish. Now this leaf is slightly hanging over the edge. I think some of it will get clipped off just the tiniest bit. And then once again the center bit. Okay, and that's it for that one. And I'm just going to show you this one real quick on the ones with the stripe. Excuse me. It was popping up on the end there, so all I did was take some more base coat, get it underneath there, get my flashlight out, and plaster that sucker down right on the end. That's probably been long enough. You don't really need to hold them on there all that long when you're curing them with that, but sometimes I want to get a little extra just to make sure it's on. Okay, now that it's lying down, now we're just going to run a real thin line down either side of the stripe. Just along the edge, kind of the same way we did with the leaves, except for this is just on the stripe. Okay, and there we go. Now the rest of these I'll do off camera. And there we are. Now I'm going to go over these with a pretty hefty layer of base coat again. on the ones with the long stripes, I tried to do a little bit heavier because they were sticking up a bit along the edges. They're a little bit thicker. Okay, we'll cure that. And once I get them back out, now they're back. Now I'm going to go over them with my tempered top coat, a hefty layer of this. Now I did put 2 coats of this on here. I'm only showing the one, but I did do 2 because I didn't want to take a chance of filing through any of the glitter or the leaves. So I wanted to make sure it was going to be extra thick, because we're going to then have to go through the whole file and buff routine with these. Okay, we'll cure that, and like I said, I did go with another one after that one, but you're not going to see it. And now we will do the file and buff. Okay, anything on the edges, I'm going to clean off. I'm either going to trim it off with my nail scissors and then use my hard file to file the edges to get the shape back and get any of those little bits off of there that are hanging over. Like, I believe I'm cutting that with the scissors. Yeah, you can't really see what I'm doing, but that's what I did. Then I will get those edges filed down again, and the side walls. Then I will switch to the buffer, which is 180 grit buffer, and we're going to do both sides of that, starting off obviously with the 100 grit, then moving to the 180. And a little bit more. Whoopsie, looks like I bumped my desk. And again, I'm going to clean these side edges up. Some of them had a little bit of stuff hanging over. Okay, now I've done all of these. If we were going to matte them, that's what they would look like. Originally, I was going to do matte on them. Now I'm just wiping them down with some alcohol to get all the sanding dust and whatnot off of there. And now we're going in with the final top coat. This is the tempered top coat. I tried doing one as matte, and I wasn't super happy about how it looked, because originally I did want to do the matte, so I went back and switched it up and just left them shiny. So we're home stretch now, guys. Almost there. Okay, we're going to cure that, and there we are, all finished. If you like this set, please give me a like. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. I upload a new video every Saturday. And there we are. There's my finished picture. And that's all I got for today. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.